In this episode of Harbor Freight Review, we are going to be looking at the Chicago Electric 12-inch dual-beveling sliding compound miter saw, item number 61969. This saw features a powerful motor, the ability to cut up to 45 degrees in any direction, a laser guide, extendable side rails for larger projects, and it will cut up to 13 3/8 in one pass.
Today we're talking about the Chicago Electric 12-inch radial chop saw. I'm going to do things a little bit backwards today. I'm going to give you my recommendation up front, and then y'all can watch the rest of the video. It might get a little long-winded, that's why I'm doing it. So 100%, if you need a chop saw, go buy this one. This thing is awesome. I love this. I replaced my DeWalt chop saw with this guy, if that tells you anything. And for those who are shopping around, that DeWalt saw, depending on the features you get, is $300-400 more than this thing. And this will do everything, and then probably more than your chop saw, than a DeWalt. And so, highly recommend this thing. Now, the reason it's going to get a little long-winded is there are a couple things I don't like about it that, if this is your first chop saw, you need to be aware about. First and foremost, this fence right here came out of the box not square. And I didn't realize that until I was like 30 boards in because I wasn't double checking anything. So out of the box, double check that you're square to your blade and there's adjustment screws on it. So just make sure that's accurate. And that's not a slight against it. It's a bolt-on fence. You're going to have that with any bolt-on fence. The second thing is they put a little ruler built in right here, which is cute. But again, because the fence is adjustable, it isn't in line. Mine's about 1/4 inch off. But again, not a slight against the saw because you should be measuring from your blade anyways. Different blades have different widths, and you can't really accurately determine what your cut is unless you're measuring from the blade anyways. So I think that's there more so for just looks, to make it look like it has a tape measure built into it. But it's pointless because you got to measure from the blade anyways. The other thing with this thing is I took off the top rails. For me, they were more of an aggravation, got in the way than anything, but you don't really need them. So to the features of this saw, it goes everywhere, anywhere you want it to go. It'll do a 45 this way, do a 45 this way. It's got really clear lines, numbers and lines on it for determining your angle cut. Also, what's nice is that it has a stop point at 22.5 and 31.6 for your molding, which is nice to have that built in. It also, unloosen it in the back, tilts a full 45 this way. And if you can see right here, there's a little stop, bump stop on it. You can flip that down and go full 45 this way, so you don't have to rearrange your wood when you're cutting angles. And all you gotta do to zero it back out, pop that little bump stop in, and there's an adjuster screw on it. Mine out of the box was at 0. I've had this thing a couple years now, and it hasn't moved. So just make sure it lines up to 0, and then when you square your blade down, everything is square. And if it's not, you can just adjust that screw right there. Another thing, full radial. It'll cut a 2x12 in one cut, so you don't gotta flip it or turn it or anything like that. Another feature about it is, actually wait, while I'm talking about this, like I said, I took basically the entire fence off and re-squared it. One thing I did leave is this little guy. It's nice to have a little clamp on here. And also you can tell that I've built this into a workbench, and I've built little feed guides into it on either side. I've never really been particular with those cheap benches you can buy to bolt these onto, and with the little rollers on either side. And that's just my personal opinion about it. So I just put a couple little boxes on either side to help hold the wood. The one thing about that, when I built that, which I found a little bit annoying, is your deck height is exactly 3.5 inches. So it is exactly a 2x4 tall, which is great if you're going to line up 32x4s on either side and use that as your bench. But for me, I put a piece of plywood on. To solve that, quick tip, take the same piece of plywood that you're using for your top and just stick a piece under your saw to raise it up that much, and it'll even right out. 2x4 with whatever plywood on top, and it's flat as can be. So the other thing about it has a hookup on the back. Spin this around so you can see it a little better for your bag, but get this off. It's actually ribbed and the standard size for a vacuum system, so you can plug that right into a vacuum if you want to. And overall, one other thing, you'll notice that my saw is missing its guard. That is nothing about this saw. That is my own stupidity. I was trying to go too quick on chopping up a bunch of just one by one little pieces of wood, and I thought I'd get quick and, well, ultimately lazy, and I stacked them all together, didn't strap them, didn't do anything, and when I ran through it with the saw, I ran through it quick, one of the pieces caught, shot up, and broke my guard off. But the guard did exactly what it was supposed to do. It stopped that piece of wood from coming back at me. Ultimately, I probably could have repaired the guard. Chicago Electric, if you see this, send me another one. But I just took mine off altogether. The other feature about this thing, which I honestly don't use, is it has a built-in laser. And it's right here. And I've never been a fan of lasers on saws. And so I can't really tell you too much about if the laser is square, if it works or whatever, because I completely ignore it. And you can, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but mine's actually all gunked up anyways. You can't even see it when it's cutting. So it does have a built-in laser. I guess that's a cool feature. But if you're measuring and cutting off the blade anyways, you don't need a laser. So I think the laser kind of cheats a little bit. And if it's not perfectly in line, you're going to get screwed up cuts anyways. So overall, that's the Chicago Electric chop saw. I love mine. You'll love yours. So go buy one if you can. Alright guys, now on something totally serious. How is this thing fare in the zombie apocalypse? Well, you would think probably not very well, but I had some ideas for it. Chop saw is really useful to have around when you're trying to build stuff like barricades. And after the zombie apocalypse, you gotta rebuild society. So it's always good to have a chop saw around. As a weapon, it sucks, but as a utilitarian device, pretty awesome. You need it. It's kind of like a hammer. You need a chop saw, you need a hammer. So ultimately, this thing won't fare good in the zombie apocalypse, but you could have some use for it building barricades, and then after society needs to be rebuilt as well. So from a scale of 1 to gun, I'm going to give it a 3, just because of the utilitarian portion of it.
Hey everyone, just want to let you know I'm not affiliated with Harbor Freight and they're not sponsoring me yet. I'm just doing this because I love Harbor Freight and all their tools. I've had lots of great experiences with them, and they're always helpful. The staff is really knowledgeable, and it's really, for the most part, the best bang for your buck. So just want to make it clear, definitely not sponsored yet, Harbor Freight. Call me. And I hope y'all enjoy the videos.